Yeah, this is going to be my talk, The Rise of Freelance Project Software Testing, Bug Bounty Hunting in the 21st Century. So as you all know, ever since the beginning of the internet, which started as the ARPANET, it always had bugs and glitches in its system. Like all human systems, it's bound to have imperfections, right? So as soon as these imperfections emerged, there were people in search of solutions. So they thought, what could we do to find solutions? And, software testing was one of the things that people conceived. And they decided, well, okay, we could try traditional methods. But someone someday thought, well, it's a good idea. Why don't we put a reward on it? Like the Lindbergh trying to cross the Atlantic. He was given a reward. We're going to give you a prize. If you cross the Atlantic, you get a prize. So that's an analogy. So what we're going to talk about here is if you find any type of bug or imperfection or glitch, we give you $10,000. We give you $50,000. And I guess that's how it started, right? And that was the beginning of bug bounty reward programs. So what is a bug bounty reward program, right? We're going to talk about it for the next 30 minutes. We should know what it is, right? Some people like to call it responsible vulnerability disclosure policy. It depends on which company, right? Some companies like different names for it, but it's the same thing. Well, basically what it is that they offer you a compensation, remuneration, could be financial or otherwise, in exchange for you finding an imperfection in their software, right, or in the code. That's basically what it is. When you engage in this type of programs, you got to be mindful of what are the requirements that they ask for, right? And what is the scope of, you don't want to go out of bounds and just start searching all over the place of somebody else's digital property, right? You want to be mindful of all those things. So it's very good that that read all the instructions regarding all the details of, okay, this is what we would pay for, this is what we will not pay for. This is the type of testing that we consider appropriate for a website. This is not appropriate. So it's very good to do the due diligence and prior research before engaging in any type of activities of this nature, right? Also, it's a good way to, get a side income. So unlike for traditional software testing, you're in a job, you're more than 40 hours. With bug bounty reward programs, all you have to do is you could take your time, right? Make the most of your expertise and use that expertise like to try to find any vulnerabilities and systems that allow you to do so. Because there are different types of bug bounty reward programs. There are public ones and there are private ones. The public ones are the best because, anybody can take a hand on it, give it a shot. The private ones, there's something that you have to get prior approval from the owners of the software, of course, because otherwise you shouldn't be lurking into other people's stuff like that, nilly-willy, right? Okay, what can be considered a freelance software testing website, right? That's the other reason why, the other part of the talk, right? Freelance software testing website could be considered any website that offers testing project. Testing project can have the deadlines can vary. It could be a short deadline, it could be a long deadline. It could be something as simple as testing an electronic device, of a new TV set, or a new game console. Streaming games is something that's going to be very popular soon. The Internet of Things is going to make all sorts of software programs everywhere. There's going to be smart toilets, there's going to be smart fridges, smart stoves, and all those products have to incorporate code. And that code is inevitably going to have glitches because they're going to be the first of their kind or the second of their kind, right? So there's a lot of opportunity. Like I said in my introductory video, it's like searching for treasure. So, but searching for a treasure doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. You don't know where to search, but again, if you put the hustle and if you do like systematic approach to it, you can obtain, you might obtain rewards, because what if you don't find anything? Look at how they tried to search for that airplane in the South Pacific, right? They searched like different sectors in the South Pacific and they still haven't found it yet. So that might be like an analogy of a situation that you might be systematically doing your test cases here and there and everywhere, and you don't find anything, right? And okay, I don't find any bugs here. At that point, you have to think for yourself, like, okay, if I'm putting like good money after bad, am I wasting my time here, or I'm trying to approach a point where I might find something, right? So all these considerations have to be taken into account when you are searching for bugs or when you're participating in a project involving software testing. Also, if you're in a software testing project, you have to research like who is posting this, right? Because the company that might be posting it, or the individual or the person who's posting that project or that bug bounty program, well, might not be as reliable when it comes to payment. So, okay, you did the work, you found something, right? You systematically can prove from point A to point Z that, yeah, this is indeed a glitch, it's indeed a bug, it's not a false positive, it's something. But now they don't want to pay you, so now what, right? That is a possibility. There's a ton of possibilities, there's a ton of pros and cons to engaging in this type of activities, right? So like I said, it's always good to take due diligence with the person who's posting the project or with the bug bounty reward program, and see that, okay, so these people have a history of positive reviews, negative feedback from people who have previously had encounters of this nature with them. And yeah, you gotta be open to the possibility that they might not get paid, but you also have to be open to the possibility that you might get paid. So, at the end of the day, you have to, have contingencies just in case, right? In case you don't get paid. You found a bug and you told them about the bug, and they decided, no, this is not worth paying for, right? So yeah, you have to be open to that idea. And that's where like prior planning comes into account. So, and yeah, and when you're doing like, examples of freelance test sites. So, so which type of freelance test sites? You say, okay, now we're talking. Well, one of the most famous ones is utest.com. It's an interesting one. There's also sites like Upwork, People's Cloud. There's a ton of websites. So in the case of Utest, the site is very professional. It's very, they have each of the projects neatly stacked up, one on top of the others. It's really, nice. Some people don't like it because they say, well, the posters are not reliable. The testers, for example, don't come through. They might procrastinate, or they might, for example, not live up to the deadlines. Because the thing is, when you're in a software testing project, you're basically your own boss, right? You're the only one putting pressure on yourself and holding yourself accountable. Because the posters, they're just like, okay, if this doesn't work with this guy, we're just gonna go to the next one, right? And we're just gonna leave a bad review on this individual, and he's never gonna get another software testing project, and it's gonna be worse and worse for him to try again, and that's it. That's all they're gonna do. So at the end of the day, it's up to the independent tester to prove their value and their expertise, and that they can live up to deadlines, that be timeliness in that regard. It's up to them. Yeah. Very if you have problems with intrinsic motivation, then that might not be the thing for you, right? So project software testing might not be. You got to be very self-motivated and have your own productivity systems in place and all that. That's regarding software testing projects. And even for bug bounties. Because if you're searching for a bug in a bug bounty reward program, and you're searching and you're searching and you're searching, and you don't find anything, you might give up, right? You might say, well, probably there's nothing here. They probably did a good job, right? But what about that institution that was in the news a while ago? I'm not going to say names because, they might have thought the same, and then that incident happened, and then, and they didn't have a public bug bounty reward program in place, so tough luck, right? But then again, what if the company doesn't need a bug bounty reward program? So it's too many variables to take into consideration for both sides. So the side that's posting these programs and the side that is going to undertake them, the tester himself, right? And for the freelance test sites, basically any freelance site can pass as a test site. Because think about it. All the poster has to do is to post a project. Okay, I want this tested. I want this website tested, or I want this software tested in this code, and that's it, pretty much. And all you need are these type of devices. You need to use these tools. It's basically ad hoc. Okay. So examples of public bug bounty reward programs. There are several examples of different bug bounty reward programs. Some of the most famous ones, Google has one. Facebook has one. I think Apple has one. Yes, Apple has one. And PayPal. PayPal also has, PayPal has a public one as well. Netflix has one. It's hard to find like a huge tech company that is located in Silicon Valley that doesn't have a bug bounty reward program. And it makes sense because when you come to think about it, they have like hundreds of thousands, millions of users, billions like in the case of Facebook. And the last thing they want is an intrusion, right? Or a penetration test from an ethical hacker that takes all the information or something. That's the last thing they want. That's a nightmare for them, a PR nightmare. So it's preferable to pay like $1 million to somebody to make sure that there's nothing than to just wait till somebody steal everything and more and personal information. And think about it, it's getting even worse because in Europe with this new GDPR law, so things are going to be even more strict regarding the personal identifiable information of people, right? PII, that's what they call it, personal identifiable information. And then you have HIPAA, that is also important regarding like health information of people. So if it's a health website or like an insurance website, that's even more delicate. So they might want to put even double their efforts. So they're even more likely to have a type of resources of this nature, like a bug bounty program, because think about it, it's more economically feasible for them to have a bug bounty program and pay some guy like $100,000 if they find it, than to wait for an unethical player to take control over their database and the data sets and the data points and just go to town with it, right? Go to town with all those social security numbers and all those things, right? That's a nightmare. That's the end of the company, or the insurance company, or whatever company that unfortunately follows and undergoes that type of incident, right? So for them, it's just more economically feasible to have a bug bounty program. It's just the most probable thing that they might do. Sure, they might not have one. They might decide to do it all in-house, but you never know. That's why it's always good to do like research and due diligence and see, well, do they have a program? Do they don't have a program? And yeah, in that case, Google is your friend. You could just Google company, insurance company X, bug bounty reward program. And you see, okay, is there one or isn't? That it'll come out straight up. HackerOne is one of the sites where they post this type of information of different programs. It's a very interesting site. There are also different sites that also talk about bug bounty programs. And like I said, the rewards can be all over the place. It could be like small amounts, like 5,000, 500. It depends on the nature of the glitch or the bug. If it's something due to the critical core digital systems of the operating system or something very important, then yeah, it's going to be high. But if it's something like, just change a color, if you switch it from this format to another, then they probably won't pay that much because it's not that important. It depends on the critical nature of the glitch, right? If it's not critical to their systems, then why would they pay anything remotely decent amount of money, right? It makes sense too from an economic standpoint. Yeah. Sure. But why would somebody decide to make a living out of this, right? Versus a traditional software testing. But think about it. Traditional software testing, you have to spend like 40 or more hours working on test cases and test users, and then the stress, and but everything has its pros and cons, right? It's all about trade-offs. You have the security of the traditional software testing process, and here you don't have security because, like I said, you might not find nothing. You might hustle and hustle and hustle, and then, I didn't find the glitch. Or you might find the glitch, but the person, the institution or organization you found the glitch for might not pay you, right? So, like I said, it's trade-offs. It might happen. There's pros and cons to everything. That's what I say. Okay. What's next? Get a white hat. I thought that was... there's 3 different types. There's the black hat. There's the bad guys that just go inside without asking for permission. And gray hatted, they try to do both. And the white hat, you be responsible and ethical when you search for other people's digital property. It's always good to communicate with them to say okay, if this project, I saw this posted in your site. And first of all, I want to know if it's still active, right? Because some websites from some companies might not be as good at refreshing their content or updating their content. So you might see, okay, I saw this policy here regarding this bug bounty program, but it was from 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago or a year ago. And, that's a detail that might be overlooked. Everybody has blind spots, and it can happen. People overlook details all the time, right? So, okay, you overlook the detail in a very small corner that says that this was from 3 weeks ago, right? Updated last time, October 2018, for example. And now we're what, November 2019? And then you discover, I was working on this and I found a bug. But then they tell you, well, we discontinued this program 3 months ago. Somebody found the bug prior to you. And what you consider a bug, we don't consider it a bug. We no longer have a program regarding the payments of bugs. So then you are basically in the proverbial ditch, right? So it's always good to communicate with them first. First, your intentions. My intention is to actively make use of this program. I'm going to follow all the specifications within your site, right? And yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm just requesting your permission and confirming that the bug bounty program is still active, right? Because if it's not active, then why bother? And yeah, if they told you to go ahead, then you're good to go, right? From a legal standpoint, is a good idea. From an ethical standpoint, is a good idea. So why not do it? It's just an email, right? It's just requesting permission and asking whether the program within their site is still active, right? It's better to err on the side of caution, right? That's my motto. I think it's a good idea to always do that, right? Regarding programs of that nature. And also for freelance software testing programs, you don't know, for example, the poster might have forgotten to take it down. So it's basically like a job post. Think about it. Some employers leave a job post notice like 2-3 weeks after they hire the person for that position, right? And now you're gonna send your resume, or you're gonna send your cover letter for that exact position, but that they already hired somebody's already in their HR and being trained and everything, and they no longer require applicants for that position, right? So yeah, that might also happen with software testing projects. So in that case as well, it's always good to ask, is this project still active, right? Because if it's not active, yeah, I mean, it's worth repeating, you know? It's just good policy. Okay, fundamental differences and similarities between project-based testing and traditional testing. I think we've been talking about it, but there are also many different ones. The platform is one of them. There's so many different platforms where you can find projects. So different platforms means there might be like different requirements regarding to upload the test results, because you got to show them like, okay, I did my test case, I did test uses. So here's my work, right? The result of my work, and you have to upload it to their sites, right? But some sites might only work with, say, for example, Mac systems and iOS or whatever. So depending on what are the specifications, what formats they allow for uploading, then you have to follow the format that they allow for, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be incompatible. They won't be able to open your work, and then you worked in vain, right? And it's always good that if you want to get a project and you want to stand out from other testers who are trying to obtain that same project, you have to show that you have a very, what is it called? Oh yes, you have to show that you have a very great portfolio of projects, you know. The more you have, the more you get. At the beginning, it's gonna be like, well, this is what I'm done by myself. And you know, you can always write articles about different projects, processes of the software testing development lifecycle, and yeah, you can do it on, you have to prove first. When you're an amateur software tester, it's going to be way harder because you don't have nothing to show for it. So you have to go to the easiest projects, the ones that require less, require less from the tester. So basically, normal user, yeah, cases, not much. Probably A/B testing, something simple like that. And then if it requires more, then you show them, okay, so this is what I got. This is what I've done before. And that's what I'm going to go with. So, yeah, you just have to show them that you are the most likely candidate to achieve the project, right? Because otherwise, why would they pick you over the other 100, 200, or probably 300 other testers online that are vying for the same project, right? Because there's always going to be less projects, than freelancers. So that's something that, and the same case is going to happen for bug bounty programs. Even greater in the case of bug bounty programs, because bug bounty programs offer like $100,000, like $1 million, and there's probably some teenager, 15-year-old kid who just learns about Selenium and IPM, and they decide, okay, I'm gonna get a hit out of this, right? And maybe that's why you see the cases of those teenagers that get those big rewards. They do it because, first of all, they're fearless. They decide to actually do it instead of just spinning wheels and thinking about it. Regardless of how much expertise, they think, okay, I don't need a master's degree for this or PhD. All I need to do is actually find the information that I need, learn that information, right? Transform into an expert as quickly as possible, and then just get a go at it. Just practice. And that's how they do it. They practice. They perfect their skills, and then that's all. Speaking of which, UTest has this section where they have these mini exams, like quizzes. So with those quizzes, you take those quizzes, like multiple test type quizzes. I wanted to show it, but the internet is not very good. And you could do it on your spare time, and you could prove your expertise. Kind of, I'm not sure if LinkedIn has the same thing. Like for every ability, no. In the case of LinkedIn, I think it's just you put the abilities that you have. Like for example, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, blah, blah, blah. In the skills section, but in the case of UTest, before you do that, you have to take a quiz. And then the quiz are multiple tests, I think. You take the correct answers. I think they let you only attempt it once or twice every 6 months before they decide that, you have to wait another 6 months to try again. But that's also a great way, if you don't have like prior testing projects that you have been involved in, to show like, okay, look, I'm an expert on this, because I really scaled high on these quizzes for skills A, B, C, for databases, or for data analysis, or whatever skill they may be asking for, right? Yeah, that might be the idea. Okay, that later. Well, also, projects regarding bug bounties, right? They tend to be very wordy, but that's intentional. So for example, you can see like 2 or 3 pages of fine print, but that is to make sure that the person is has intentionality, and is very detail oriented. It doesn't skip a beat. So it's always good to take the time that's required to read very carefully every single part of the section of these bug bounties. Let me try again so I can show you one of them, because I really want you guys to see one. So this one I really found interesting. So these guys, right? Instead of giving you traditional amounts of money like cash and blah blah blah, they give you like cryptocurrency, right? Like Bitcoin. And they use blockchain to keep like a ledger, right, of what happened, like all the things that were done, and then they use it like, oh man, they have this video. It's really cool. It shows how the process is and everything. And as you can see here, they have all these different types of bounties, and this is just one example of innovation in this sector. You see? And it's incredible what you can do when you decide to, disrupt a different section of it. You see, they got one for Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And I thought it was very interesting, because instead of earning just a nominal financial amount in dollars or what have you, you get a cryptocurrency, which, They tend to go up sometimes, right? Yeah, and they have yeah, and with blockchain they can't get shorthanded because it's right there. It's literally the evidence that you guys had an agreement, so they can't we're gonna back on you now that you found it, right? Now they can't because guess what? The evidence is right there that you guys had a prior arrangement, right? And I thought that was really cool. So there's always space for disruption in this area. And this is just one of the several examples of things happening within the bug bounty reward space, and also, yeah. So you can see that you will always see that, in all these different types of the code of conduct, right? Why do they make so much emphasis on the code of conduct? Because you have to be ethical. They don't want any misunderstanding. They don't want to have to go to court with you, right? They don't want to take it to a point where you have legal ramifications, your actions. So that's why I think that it's always the first thing to check is what they define as ethical behavior regarding, the use of the program, right? That is a very good idea to do. And this is one of the most famous testing sites, testing for anything from TV sets to, a new audio system or what have you, game console. Yeah, it's just one example. There are many different ones, but that's one of the most easily known. Yeah. Let me see what else I got. See, it was just. So that's the thing with these type of projects, is there's not much to say, because once you get the specifics regarding one, you can mostly extrapolate to most of the others, right? It's not like it's gonna be like from the moon to the stars regarding one from the other, right? The fundamental principles regarding one bug bounty program are going to be more or less very similar to the next one. Because they have to be, because otherwise, how's it going to work, right? Yeah. All they want to make sure is that you're doing the work, right? And at the end that you show results. Because that's the fundamental thing between an employee and an independent contractor. Because for them, you're basically an independent contractor, right? They don't care how you found them. But as long as it's like within ethical bounds, they don't care how you found it. Unless, of course, like I said, within ethical bounds, within legal bounds, right? They don't want you to break the law to find the bug. And they don't want you to, engage in unethical behavior to find the bug. So within ethical, legal bounds, they don't care how you did it, right? As long as you do it, you give them the results. So that's basically an independent contractor right? That's instead of an employee. So an employee, they would have to tell you, okay, you have to do this, this, this. They would have to micromanage you, right? They would have to manage you and step by step. But that's not the point, right? The point is that you use your system to make it work, and then, you just show them the results. And that's it. There's also like tax implications. So say, for example, you win a reward, or you get remunerated for, you get paid for a software testing project, right? That money, depending, where you earn it, it's subject to, it might be subject to taxes. So it's always good to check with your accountant to see, like, okay, is this what type of taxes is this subject to? Is this a 1099 or something? So that's always a good idea to do, because otherwise, you don't want to get in trouble with the IRS, right? That's not a good idea either. Yeah. So yeah. So let's see an example of what I say. So yeah, this general stuff, being very discreet when handling a project, because once you hit like agree on a project, a software testing project, it's that information that they give you, it's for your eyes only, right? It's try to keep it as secure as possible, and yeah, that's a good idea. Keep it secure. And like I said, you're in a team. You might be in a spontaneous team. It's always good, like, how to have good interpersonal communication. And yeah, it's also important that every information you give them is ethically reliable. It's authentic. It's not falsified. You don't want to give them false information, right? Yeah. And well, I guess this is my talk, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried my best. Thank you.